there's a number I need you to remember before we go any further. $20,000. That used to be the line. Below it, a new car, a real warranty, a key that starts an engine nobody else has driven. Above it, everything else, every payment plan, every just a little more a month, every decision that quietly reshaped what a normal life costs in this country. That line doesn't exist anymore. And I don't mean it's harder to find. I mean it's gone. As of this year, there is no new car sold in the United States for under $20,000. Not one. Not a stripped-down base model, not a fleet special, not something with manual windows and a tape deck energy. Zero. I want to show you exactly how that happened, which specific cars are quietly draining your bank account right now if you already own one. And, because I'm not going to just scare you for 15 minutes and leave you there, what's actually still worth your money in 2026? Let's go back further than you'd think, because the drop-off is steeper than most people realize. In 2019, the average new car in America cost under $39,000. That already felt like a lot at the time. Give it 6 years, and that number crossed $50,000 for the first time in history. Not adjusted for anything special, just the plain, flat number on the sticker for an average car. Not a luxury trim. Average. Somewhere in that climb, the entry-level tier of the market, the cars built specifically for people who just needed something new, reliable, and cheap, started disappearing one model at a time. The Chevrolet Spark. Gone. The Mitsubishi Mirage. Gone. The Ford Fiesta. Gone years before that. Each one, on its own, looked like a minor product decision. A line on a press release nobody read. Together, they were a pattern. And the last name on that list is the one that actually made the floor disappear completely. The car that held that $20,000 line was the Nissan Versa. Not glamorous, not fast, nobody put a poster of it on their wall. But at $17,390 for the base model, it was the last honest answer to the question, what's the cheapest way to own something new that won't fall apart on you? In December of last year, Nissan quietly ended it. No dramatic announcement. A short statement about product strategy. The kind of sentence a company writes when it doesn't want you to notice what just happened. Here's the detail that gets me. The Versa was selling well. Sales were up over 20% the year it died. People wanted it. It got discontinued anyway, because a $17,000 car doesn't make a manufacturer money the way a $45,000 crossover does. It's not that America stopped wanting a cheap car. It's that the industry stopped wanting to sell you one. And here's the part that stings a little more if you let it sit. Nissan is still building a new Versa right now, just not for you. It's rolling off the line in Mexico. It's one of the best-selling cars in that market. It just isn't allowed to cross the border wearing an American price tag anymore. Same car, different country, different rules for who gets to be poor, and still drive something new. With the Versa gone, the title of cheapest new car in America landed somewhere between $20,000 and $23,000, depending which week you check and which brand is running a promotion. Either way, the floor moved, and every sign points to it not coming back down. So, if $20,000 isn't the floor anymore, what's the average now? $51,974. That's not a typo, and it's not a luxury brand outlier skewing the math. That's the average transaction price for a new car in America, as of a few weeks ago, the highest number ever recorded. It didn't stay there either. 4 days later, it climbed again. Break that down into what you actually feel every month, and here's where it gets personal. The average new car payment in this country just hit $770 a month. Also a record. Lease payments climbed even faster, up over 3% in a single year, landing around $619 a month for people who didn't even want to own the thing outright. Sit with that for a second. $770 every month for 5 to 7 years, before insurance, before gas, before the first time something rattles that shouldn't. And here's the sentence that should actually be the headline, not a footnote. Americans now owe more on car loans combined nationwide than they owe on student loans. $1.685 trillion in auto debt. Let that sentence do what it needs to do. The debt everyone spends a decade arguing about in Congress, in headlines, in every millennials are struggling article you've ever scrolled past, cars quietly passed it. And almost nobody's talking about that one. I said I'd show you specifics, so let's get specific. These are real 2026 models, and real numbers people are paying above the sticker price right now. Not because the car is rare, but because dealers know buyers aren't doing the math. The 2026 Nissan Kicks lists at $23,930. People are paying about 5% over that, roughly $1,200 extra, for a car that reviewers describe as having a harsh ride and slow acceleration. You're not paying a premium for quality. You're paying a premium for existing at the right price point when someone needed a car today. The Cadillac XT5 lists at $46,300. Buyers are averaging about $2,059 over MSRP for it, a 4% markup on an SUV that multiple reviewers said simply doesn't keep up with cheaper competitors in the same class. The Mitsubishi Outlander ES, $31,795 on paper, but people are spending an average of $1,352 more than that for a vehicle owners describe as trailing other small SUVs in ride quality and refinement. And it's not just sticker markups, it's what happens after you drive off the lot. The 2026 Nissan Altima carries a projected 5-year depreciation rate of 49%. Basically half its value gone in the time it takes to pay it off. Owners are also dealing with a CVT transmission that's had ongoing reliability issues for years. Repairs running $4,500 to $6,000 on a car that isn't worth much more than that by the time it breaks. And there's the stories that read less like a spec sheet and more like a warning label. A brand new Corvette, 6 figures, over $130,000, with an owner who says it wouldn't go into reverse. A brand new pickup truck over $107,000, where CarPlay simply didn't work, on a vehicle that expensive. These aren't obscure enthusiast complaints. These are 2026 model year vehicles, still under warranty, already generating buyer's remorse before the first oil change. Here's the common thread in every one of these. The price went up faster than the quality did. That gap between what you're paying and what you're actually getting is the real story of the 2026 car market, more than any single scary number. I'm not going to tell you it's just greed, because that's the easy answer, and it's not the honest one. It's more specific than that, and understanding why matters, because it tells you what to actually watch for. Part of it is tariffs, new charges of 25% on vehicles built in Canada and Mexico, 100% on Chinese-made electric vehicles. Depending on the car, that alone can add somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000 to the sticker before you even start negotiating. That's not a hidden fee, that's baked into the price you're quoted on day one. Part of it is what the industry politely calls feature loading. Translation: they stopped letting you buy the cheap version. Remember, when a base model meant crank windows and an AM radio? Now the base model comes with a 12-inch touchscreen, a subscription for your heated seats, and software that phones home to renew a service plan you didn't know you signed up for. You're not just financing a car anymore. You're financing a car that also happens to be a data plan with wheels. And part of it, the quiet part, the part that took 10 years instead of one bad headline, is that the entire industry has been sliding upmarket. Trucks and SUVs, which carry far higher profit margins than small sedans, now make up over 82% of everything sold new in this country. The Versa wasn't killed by one meeting. It was killed by a decade of the market slowly deciding that people who wanted something small, cheap, and reliable weren't the priority anymore. You didn't get more expensive. The industry just stopped building for the version of you that existed in 2015. If your plan is fine, I'll just buy used instead, I need to walk you through what's actually happening there too. because it's not the safe exit people think it is. Used car prices have been climbing right alongside new ones. But there's a specific shift starting right now that's worth knowing about. The number of off-lease vehicles, cars coming back to dealers after a lease ends, is expected to grow by nearly 500,000 units this year compared to last. More inventory usually means lower prices. That part might actually help you later this year if you're patient. But at least one dealer has gone public with a warning that the used market could get worse before it gets better, citing dropping auction prices even as retail listings stay high. That gap between what a dealer pays at auction and what they list the car for on the lot is where a lot of the deal you think you're getting quietly disappears. The honest version of this, used isn't a trick to dodge the new car trap. It's the same market, one step removed, with its own version of the same problem, a widening gap between what a car is actually worth and what you're being asked to pay for it. Here's where I have to be fair with you, because most videos about this stop right around the scary number and let you sit in it. I'm not going to do that to you. Sticker prices are climbing. That part's true, and I'm not walking it back, but almost nobody is actually paying sticker price right now. Incentive spending is up. Discounts are quietly growing behind the scenes. Dealers, sitting on lots full of cars nobody's rushing to buy, are negotiating harder than they have in years, because the alternative is a car sitting there, depreciating with nobody's name on the title. That doesn't undo the $770 record. It doesn't bring back the Versa, but it means the fear headline version of this story. Cars cost $52,000 now. Good luck. Isn't the full picture. The full picture is the floor moved up, but there's more room to negotiate down from the ceiling than the headlines want you to believe. The number on the window and the number on the final loan document are further apart right now than they've been in years. That gap is the only leverage you have left. Use it. So, if the cheap car is gone, the average car is a trap, and even used cars have their own version of the same problem. What's left that's actually worth your money in 2026? The pattern is almost boringly consistent. Toyota and Honda, over and over in study after study. The Corolla. The Civic. The Camry. Not exciting. Not a car you post about. But independent cost per year research, looking at millions of vehicles and hundreds of millions of used car odometer readings, found the Civic has a predicted lifespan over 13 years, cutting its real cost of ownership to less than half the industry average. Under $2,100 a year, all in, for a car that's supposed to last over a decade. The Corolla tells almost the same story, starting under $24,000 and holding resale value better than nearly anything else in its class. The Hyundai Elantra earns its spot largely because of a warranty that outlasts almost everything else on this list. 10 years of powertrain coverage most competitors won't match. Subaru deserves a mention too, even after slipping one spot in this year's reliability rankings. The Impreza and Forester still sit near the top, and the Forester's new off-road wilderness trim for 2026 gives it a use case most economy cars can't touch. On the other end of this, I'll say one name because the data behind it is specific enough to say out loud. The Tesla Model S is projected to lose more than half its value within 5 years. That's not an opinion pulled from a forum. That's what happens when a car depreciates faster than almost anything else on sale new today. Buying it new means paying luxury pricing for a car that, financially, behaves like it's already used the moment you drive it off the lot. If you take one thing from the last 14 minutes, take this framework, because it's simpler than the market wants you to think it is. First, the sticker price is a starting offer, not a fact. Treat it like one. Right now, in 2026, that's more true than it's been in years. Second, boring wins. Every car on the actually worth it list in this video is a car nobody's excited about buying, and that's exactly why it's still worth something in 5 years. Excitement depreciates. Reliability doesn't. Third, if a base model comes loaded with screens, subscriptions, and features you didn't ask for, that's not a bonus. That's the manufacturer deciding for you that the cheap version doesn't get to exist anymore. The same decision that killed the Versa, just happening one trim level at a time instead of all at once. And fourth, the one nobody wants to hear. If the payment doesn't comfortably fit before you start adding extras, the extras were never the problem. The floor moved. Your budget has to move with it, or the car has to change, not the other way around. Here's what I actually want you to take from this. The $20,000 car didn't disappear because you did something wrong. It disappeared because an entire industry quietly decided your price point wasn't worth building for anymore and hoped you wouldn't notice until you were already signing for $770 a month. You noticed. That's why you're still watching 14 minutes in on a video about a sedan nobody even misses yet. The floor moved. But the game didn't change, it just got more expensive to play the way everyone else is playing it. Buy boring. Buy what lasts 13 years instead of what has a 12-inch screen. Negotiate like the sticker price is a suggestion, because right now, it actually is. That's the game in 2026. I just wanted you to actually see the board before you sat down at it.